Yeah, baby. Do it. It's what I need right now. Oh. Wow. Guys, I was just looking at charts for Bitcoin, right? Look, it's the truth. I mean, this is all just like Luis's stuff. It was saved on my account, which is why it's there. And look, a chart. I'll show you a chart. Damn it. You know what? Let it be. But seriously, guys, you didn't really think that Luis left crypto, did you? I mean, he really loves knitting, but he loves the crypto industry. In fact, Luis entrusted me with getting as many insights about the collapse of this market as possible, which is why the interview with Maddie Greenspan was so awesome. His charts were really cool, right, guys? Let's just jump right into it, guys. Let's do it. Today we have crypto man Ran himself, Ran Neuner. Hello, how are you, Ran?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me on. It's really been really a great honor. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. So let's talk about the actual crash. With Bitcoin dropping to below 4,000, at some point 3,500 on some exchanges, a lot of people blame they wanted to shift blame on something, so people were putting it on the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. I personally don't subscribe to that theory. I was thinking, what do you think about that?
When you are in the middle of a bear market, any kind of good news doesn't matter, and of course bad news gets exacerbated. I don't know if I want to blame the Bitcoin Cash wars for this, but we must look at some of the facts here. The people that are fighting the Bitcoin Cash wars are somewhat of a centralization point in mining. These are when people talk about the big whales, these are the big whales. We're talking about Craig Wright, you're talking about Roger Ver, you're talking about Jihan Wu, you're talking about Calvin Ayre. These are people that have a lot of Bitcoin. And if they wanted to make a mark, they could make a mark. I can't see what the incentive for them would be to sell Bitcoin to fund a Bitcoin Cash war, because they make a lot more money mining Bitcoin, and they make a lot more money if Bitcoin has a higher price. So yeah, I'm not sure what we can blame it on. I don't think it's the Bitcoin Cash fork, and I don't think that it's the SEC action either. So I think it's just a whole lot of negative things all at once. I also think that we've hit the stage of panic. I mean, I really think that now we've got to the point where people have capitulated in panic, and we're going through this thing of despair. I mean, I really, really, really think that we are somewhere near there.
Yeah, especially because last time there was a hard fork similar to this, nothing really happened. So it's not like we have a track record to go off of here. But there's also another theory that's stating that, this is maybe large institutional investors that are getting ready to enter the market, and they're trying to lower the price to something that's more of a comfortable threshold. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of conspiracy theories. I mean, I can't see an institution coming in, shorting Bitcoin to get the whole market down and then buying it back up again. I mean, it kind of sounds a little bit counterintuitive, especially, crypto is a thin market, which means that you can sell it down for very little money, but to buy it back up also costs you very little money. So I'm not sure that I buy into that theory. We are where we are, and market forces will take control. If people believe that the market is undervalued, they'll certainly start buying anytime soon.
Yeah. But like a lot of people are saying that maybe this is not even the lowest price that Bitcoin can hit. My favorite example is Bloomberg Analytics saying that it's possibly going to crash under 1,500, maybe even by the end of this year, which be still my beating heart. But do you see anything happening quite that drastic before the year's end?
I don't want to make any price predictions, because I think that when you make a price prediction, you have a very high probability of being wrong and a very low probability of being right. I think that every single person who's ever made a price prediction on Twitter or on CNBC or on any other radio station has called it wrong. I've called it wrong many times. Arthur Hayes has called it wrong. He called Bitcoin to 50,000. Tommy Lee called it wrong. Mike Novogratz came out at 250 billion and said this is the bottom. Well, we've halved since then and we're at 120. So I think that these price predictions are futile and they don't work. Let's look at the tech. Let's look at the adoption of the tech, and the prices will follow. Let's look at the fundamentals. Let's look at the NASDAQ announcing today that they're entering this game with futures. We're looking at BACT, which is launching in January. We're looking at Fidelity coming in. We're looking at other institutions coming in. We're looking at KPMG writing reports that classifies crypto as a real asset class. I mean, these are all things that are happening. Now, if you want to tell me that all these things are happening for a $120 billion asset class, something doesn't add. The math doesn't add up.
Yeah. Good investors could figure out, what is a good alleged price point for something using something like EBITDA or cash flow. But with Bitcoin, you can't really do that. What are people looking for when they're trying to get like a fair price point for Bitcoin?
in 1997, 98, when I was an equities analyst, specifically looking at the high-tech sector, we had no idea how to value companies that didn't make profits. The notion of giving a company a value when you could not even see how it was going to break even was completely ludicrous back then. So let me tell you, in those days we had no valuation models for any type of company. And so this is not that dissimilar to where we were back then. You know, we don't have any valuation models. Yes, they will come. And when they do come, they're not going to be that accurate. That's why when you have 3 analysts in a room, you'll get 5 different price predictions for a normal asset class. You know, if it was a science and there were valuation techniques that actually worked, then we wouldn't need this many analysts.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that we're very different from equities or where equities were.
Yeah, I think one of the people were talking about mining expenses being a good barometer for something, but I kind of agree with you where it's just like, I don't really know at this point. I don't know what to look at half the time. I don't know what a fair price point is and what it isn't.
Yeah, I don't believe that there is such thing as a fair price point. Yes, we can use mining expenses as a point, but don't forget what happens to Bitcoin is that the hash rate comes down when the mining gets too expensive. And if you've seen the history of the hash rate of Bitcoin, the hash rate of Bitcoin has been coming down instead of going up, which makes mining, of course, a lot easier and makes it a lot more viable. So I don't even know if that's a good multiple. I think what we need to look at is to say, do you fundamentally believe in the technology? Do you believe that a currency that is decentralized and has all the properties of Bitcoin logically should be valued at $65 billion? Yeah. If you do, then don't buy it. If you think that $65 billion sounds cheap, then now's a great time to buy it. To me, $65 billion sounds very cheap. I must caution you about something else.
Yeah.
Just because something used to trade at a certain price and is now trading at a lower price doesn't mean it's cheap. So, you know, if Bitcoin was trading at 20,000 and then went down to 3,000, doesn't mean that 3,000 is cheap and 20,000 was expensive. That because of the hype cycle can kind of get people a bit confused.
And what you were just saying, follow the technology and see where real innovation is. It's not just about people making a quick buck. It kind of reminds me of the .com crash, which a lot of people compare to this, bubble and all. But what I was thinking about was when that happened, it seemed like only some of the best companies were able to be the ones that remained. You know, it wasn't just like anyone trying to make a quick buck or people trying to scam. It was like all those people were destroyed by that crash. And it kind of, I think, benefited the industry as a whole because all these giants rose and they were able to give us all this ingenuity and everything. Is that kind of similar to what could happen here?
So I really hope that this doesn't resemble a .com crash. But unfortunately, every day that we live through this, it starts to resemble it more and more. The reason why I say that I really hope it doesn't resemble the .com crash is not because of the crash. It's because of what happened after the crash. After the .com crash, it took years for the market to attract capital again. And, if that happens to blockchain, then I think it's going to be a bit of a travesty because we're going to have this amazing technology which is going to be slowed down because of all the speculation that happened in 2017. I hope that this is going to be much quicker, and I hope that we're going to be able to attract capital quite much quicker back into the ecosystem.
So if I was to ask you to play fortune teller for just a second, when would you expect the market to recover? And not exactly like an exact price point or like a number, but what would have to happen for the market to begin to recover?
So we need to get new capital inflows into the market. If you look at what's draining this market is that this market has a lot of expenses to pay. And I think Vinny Lingham talks about it quite a lot, where he says, the market has a ton of expenses to pay in terms of electricity, in terms of replacing hardware, in terms of paying developers, in terms of office space, in terms of running expenses. Now, Vinny, I think, estimated that the burn rate of this market is about $1 billion a month. So you want the market to turn, it means that you've got to get more investment than $1 billion a month back into this market. And so you ask me what's going to bring that? It's certainly not going to be the retail investor who bought ICOs last year in December. It's going to be a much more significant capital flow, and to me it sounds like that capital flow is going to come from regulated institutions.
if we move on to something a bit more brighter, I feel like a lot of people have been really high on Ripple recently. I just interviewed Maddie Greenspan. I'm seeing all these Twitter polls, yours, others. People are really high on it. Can you kind of explain that? I feel like I'm missing something here.
Okay, so let's quickly differentiate between Ripple, the company, and XRP, the token.
Yeah.
Ripple, the company, is one of the most incredible companies I've ever met. They're a fantastic bunch of people who run an amazing company that's solving a real problem, which is the bank-to-bank money transfer and actually bank-to-bank communication. Up until recently, there hasn't been much use case for the token, but now they're launching XRapid, which is their new system, and XRapid is really, really, really a phenomenal system. I mean, when you look at that system versus what the existing Swift mechanism looks like, it's light years ahead. So that could give value to the XRP token. So that's the one side of it. The other side of it is that I think, as Matti Greenspan said, he said that Ripple have certainly won the social media war.
Yeah.
And for some reason, somehow Ripple has managed to get a cult type following. And I say cult in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
They've got this following where they've certainly won the social media game. I guess at the end of the day, it's going to come down to how amazing XRapid is and any other system that uses the XRP token becomes. There are a lot of people that claim that Ripple is not decentralized. The way I see it is, I think it's decentralized enough. Not everything has to be as decentralized as Bitcoin is. It's decentralized enough for me. I don't see much difference between the way that Ripple is decentralized and the way that EOS is decentralized. I think there's a spectrum of decentralization, and not every company needs to fall on one end of the spectrum.
People are calling this current phase the winter in the cryptocurrency market, which is like all too Game of Thrones episode to me. When do you think what's going to come around? Is it just going to be more innovation? Is this the crypto winter that people have been talking about? And what is going to come after it's gone? Is there something that people could really look forward to?
So, I mean, very simply, what's going to come out of this is that, the bad actors in the space are going to leave, and people who really add value to the space are going to remain. And that's quite exciting. That's the spring that this crypto winter is going to bring us. It's going to kill all the brown leaves, and we're going to get all the green leaves coming back onto the tree. And I think that's really going to be amazing.
That hopefully a cheerful, positive note. That's all I have for you, Ran. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate your time. So hopefully we can do this again.
Thank you, man.
In much happier times. Take
Great,
care,
man. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for your time again, man. Have a good one.
Well, guys, did you like it? I sure did. That was a lot of fun, guys. Definitely want to do more of these, so make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon, because that is going to make sure you get notified by YouTube every time there's a new video. Guys, I know you miss Luis. I know. I've heard the feedback. But don't worry, Luis is working on a new video, and he's going to be right with you guys. So stay tuned.